Hello and welcome to Late Night DeFi, the podcast where we talk about all of the cryptocurrency and blockchain news in the industry. Brought to you by Blueshift DEX, the decentralized exchange built on the Milkometer sidechain, and also Ernest and Young. I'm Peter Buey, and I am a content creator and digital content manager at Blueshift.
And I'm Igor Mikalev, partner and head of emerging technologies from EY Broadcasting here from Amsterdam.
And we'll be covering a whole bunch of topics in this episode around regulations, NFTs, and the Web3 industry.
And the first item on our agenda here is a very interesting one. It is the news that the Norwegian central bank started using Ethereum to build national digital currency. And for me, it signifies an interesting tidal wave in the opinion change around central banks and their perception towards cryptocurrencies, as opposed to how they used to do it in the past, trying to create a brick wall between traditional cryptocurrencies and CBDCs. They turned around and they said, hey, wouldn't it be interesting to use the existing crypto rails and existing Ethereum based ERC20 based tokens and standards to actually launch our CBDC? Which I think makes a lot of sense because all the interoperability is there, and also it's by design interesting for crypto investors and users and such.
I think it's really important that they did take in that interoperability in this case here, because there's a lot of other nations and central banks are also building their own CBDCs as well, and they're using different technologies. So that interoperability is really key. And it's probably also really important to note that they're not actually using the Ethereum mainnet, which people may think. They're just using the Ethereum technology and building their own chain where the central bank is actually transmitting transactions on. So it's not actually Ethereum itself. So I remember when I saw this, the price kind of shot up because everyone thought that the bank was actually using the Ethereum blockchain, but no, it's their own version of it. So it's really important to make that distinction.
Surely, yeah. But still, my hopes are high for them applying a certain degree of decentralization in their existing design with CBDC based on Ethereum technology. And I hope, as I wrote once on CoinDesk, that the decentralization in this sense will bring additional stability and additional certainty in a certain national currency from the perspective of people that buy and hold it. So kudos for the Norwegian Central Bank for such a nice initiative and turning around on using the certain technology as a backbone for CBDCs.
And our next news item: Japanese government issues NFTs to reward local authorities' work. I thought this was quite a nice one in regards to using the technology and having that novel uniqueness of NFTs to reward their workers and people that are, doing really cool and interesting things in the digital space in Japan there as well. So I really love this play of having that rarity behind their reward system in the Japanese authorities there.
Yeah. Well, that's an excellent move by Japanese government, and I'd like to highlight that one of the cool prizes, which was expressed as an NFT, right? So maybe who wants a cup of some kind, or who wants a little flag, right? So why don't you reward people with NFT? So cool in the first place, but actually the idea itself was cool as well. So they wanted to use cameras and mobile devices to track changes in local traffic conditions in real time, and they, with a certain success, achieved this objective. So pretty cool idea, and also nicely rewarded. So yeah, awesome work, Japanese government.
I think it's also important to note with this one that they made the NFTs non-transferable. So it is something that is made for that particular person as a reward and a token of their appreciation and their hard work in the industry.
The next piece of notable news here is again coming from Starbucks, which was a long time proponent of NFTs and cryptocurrencies in general. So you were able to pay with Bitcoin for your cup of expensive Starbucks and so forth. But just recently, they allowed people, members in the US, to collect and buy Polygon based NFTs. Right? So, as somebody that takes Starbucks frequently, you could basically enjoy collecting specialized NFTs as a part of this experience, and it potentially would raise in value because of rarity and your unique experience that you had there. So It is a nice combination of a personalized approach in store, and also you're receiving a Web3, say, inspired token there. So pretty cool job by Starbucks right there.
I didn't know that they accepted Bitcoin at some point in time. That that would be a very expensive coffee, depending on when you
Surely,
purchase
surely,
that.
surely.
So
Yeah.
I love the NFT play.
What I can say is that Starbucks, they are regularly experimenting with Web3 technologies, and it's good to see because big parties like this, they are the pillars of overall adoption of crypto around the world.
And I can't wait to see what they come up with next. I see this really as a evolution of royalty programs for a lot of these big players in the industry in the retail space. So rewarding them with NFTs now is just the next evolution of rewards points or whatever frequent
Absolutely.
flyer points for airlines, etc.
Well, that's actually a really good point because I worked several times on airline related projects related to loyalty points and different luxury goods types of service providers with loyalty point schemes as well. And one of the, let's say, main fallacies that they typically had when approaching crypto and the sphere was to think that simply replace your existing loyalty points with something on chain, and then suddenly you have yourself a massive uptake and people trying to use it and pay the loyalty points. So the one thing that they typically missed is the ecosystem exposure and designing for interoperability, being able to make it more liquid through marketplaces. But good to see that nowadays it's more and more understood, and we have this problem increasingly solved. So interoperability is coming. There are many interesting marketplaces with really good price discovery approaches. So I'm personally happy with the traction. And yeah, in this case, once again, thanks to Starbucks for sort of helping us to spin the wheel of adoption.
Next news item, we have B&B teams up with Google Cloud to accelerate Web3 development. Now, I thought this one was quite interesting, but essentially, projects are building on BNB, the Binance Smart Chain side of things, can tap into Google Cloud's infrastructure and have leading state of the art scalable architecture to build their Web3 platforms on. So it really opens up that whole cloud infrastructure that may not be available to a lot of projects to be at the hands of these brand new projects that are building Web3 and dApps and all that really cool stuff. So I'm excited that this is available to them, and I'm really interested to see what comes out of it.
There is a bit of a competition between cloud service providers around Web3 as well. And Google here is making a really smart move by creating a cloud native, cloud based primitive that developers can use in their daily work. So I would imagine you can spin up a node or even maybe spin up a managed service with the help of Binance that delivers you certain capabilities as a developer or a designer of a certain application. So I think it's a really great move on Google's part, and I'm pretty sure that other service providers for cloud infrastructure will follow suit. The final item on our agenda that stood out here for us is related to DID, decentralized identity, and identity in general that was being solved in Africa for a while. So finally, it looks like there's some light in the end of the tunnel because Web3 payments platform Fuse has partnered with ChromePay and an identity-based payment solution to launch a new suite of payment products in Africa. And it's based on top of decentralized identity service known as GID, which will enable, allegedly, millions of Africans to participate in the Web3 economy. Right? So why? Because right now, not every African has identity that allows them to participate in traditional banking ecosystem, traditional payments ecosystem. But with the advent of decentralized identity, there will be options to crowdsource information about one person. Next to that, also be able to give it back to this person in terms of the ownership. So this person will be owning the information. When needed, they can withdraw access, give access to other providers, and it's going to be portable as well. So you can port your information from one service provider to the other, thereby enabling your mobility across different applications. For example, if you're a driver in Uber and you have your rating in Uber collected in a way that you are seen as like 5-star driver and you have like thousands of feedback points, you've got to be able to transition that mass of points that prove your expertise and prove your say, goodwill when you are driving to other platforms like Lyft, for example, right? So this mobility is missing now, but decentralized identity and this advent of that service in Africa will allow for this process to begin.
We forget how much control some of these platforms have over our accounts, our user identity, such as your example there with Uber. If you were an Uber driver for many, many years building up your rating, and then you suddenly were fired from the platform, you lose all of that value that you've built up on that platform, and you have to start again from scratch, which is very hard for some people, especially if that is your number one career choice and that's how you're earning money. It's incredible that those platforms do have that control, and I'm looking forward to this decentralized identity future where we can actually control our identity, take it with us, merge it, move it, whatever we want, and also most importantly, it's private to ourselves, and the data isn't being used by other platforms or sold to other platforms, which is even worse.
Nothing will stop people's desire for fair approach to their data. And I think decentralized identity is a really good step in this direction.
And that is it for another episode of Late Night DeFi. Please leave us a rating and review anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Bye, guys.